Let's try this. Let's try this. All right. We're alive. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a good Monday late morning. I'm gonna go adjust my screen so I can see you guys and read the comments. Let's see here. How do I embiggen you? Here we are. Okay, so am I in frame? Let's see, there's always a bit of a lag. Okay, cool. So you've got a whole bunch of weird sounds happening. Let me fluff the microphone. Yeah. The landscapers are here. They're doing landscapey things. I've got a little bit of music playing in the background. And you have a unique view of this side of the hobby room that you're kind of not used to getting. Well, straight away, let's see. What's going on, Alan? Chad, yes, it is afternoon, but I just woke up from a nap, so it feels a bit like morning to me. So I opened with good morning. So there we have that. So what we've got here is the new addition to the hobby room aerodrome, or whatever you want to call it. Is a 1/3 scale DR1. So what I'm going to set out on, and I'm bringing you guys along, is I got this airframe and I've got an engine, but the engine that's currently in this airplane is going to be retained by its original owner. Yes, Tim, the triplane expert, comments. Let me know, guys, if the music in the background is too loud. I just kind of like working to music, so there's that. And I can see straight away I'm going to need some little bins to collect nuts and bolts. So what can I come up with? Gotta have some bins. Bins and buckets. There's one. Here's another one. So yeah. So we're gonna give the original owner his engine back at the end of all of this. Where's my garbage can? How do you lose a garbage can? Well, I guess it's by having a hobby room that looks like this. I put it on its nose to take the bottom wing off, and in doing so, I got a little bit of dirt in the assembly here. So I know this is a bit impromptu, but I figured, what the hell, as long as I'm working, might as well work with you guys. You're not wrong. I think Tim Sibley, I could go to sleep for the night and he'll put up a post saying, I think I'm going to start on an airplane. And then I wake up in the morning and the post is like, done, final coat of clear, drying now. I don't know how, Tim, you do what you do, but some people are just gifted in that way. And that is your gift. So either way, I'm not even sure what engine is currently on this, but we're going to be going with the DLE 111. And that is sitting right here. We've got our DLE 111 ready to go on, and that should be fun. The only, I don't even know if I'm going to call it a down shot. The only thing of it is that the previous owner of this airplane, who's quite a proficient, he's quite proficient. He's no amateur, that's for sure. Weighted the airplane by pouring lead shot, as I understand, in the cowl with epoxy. So that might make changing the weight difficult down the road. This one had a Zor propeller on it. There's no size on this, But I want to say this is about a 70 or an 80 twin. We'll find out as we dig deeper in. Nope, not an oil change. So let's see, where do we want to start? Well, I guess I got about 1 million cowl screws to pop off. So let me do that. And when you're short like me, you actually have to have a step stool in your workroom. Especially when you've got 1/3 scales on the bench. Pretty sad that I need a step stool to play with my toy airplanes. But every kid should be so lucky. It kind of sounds like a first world problem to me. Oh no, my toy airplanes are so big that I need a step stool to work on them. Yeah, that's pretty first world. Let's see what we have in the comments. I gotta figure out a way. I really need a video editor. I was talking to somebody about doing my video editing for me, and I just heard back today actually that she feels that between her school and her other job that she just won't have the time to dedicate to it. So if any of you guys know anybody who does video editing, I need a video editor. Between the airplanes and the cars, I could even stand to have somebody who does some videography. Would be fantastic. And I am willing to employ. I'm not looking to borrow upon anybody's time. So if any of you guys know somebody, preferably younger, as they are the creative ones. The top of my head is missing, and there's nothing but belly in the screen. It's alright. Show that I'm fat and happy and well fed. And if this piece of hardware would come out of the wrench, my life would be only that much better. Alright. And we have our first piece of mangled hardware. No great shocker. The question is down to what have we to bail us out of this situation? This is where it's good to have a pile of junk Allen wrenches sitting around, because invariably one of those garbage Allen wrenches always fits. Here's my garbage Allen wrench collection. I absolutely hate these Husky or any brand other than maybe Bondhouse of just, you know, L-shaped Allen keys. I've done far more damage with them than I have ever accomplished good with them. And that is not by a small margin. That is by a huge margin. And are we gonna break loose? Oh, we are. Holy crap. That one broke loose. So yeah, I got a little bit of homework to do on what scheme this is. I got some conflicting info on Gajal last night. Gajal wasn't quite as clear as I would have liked for it to be. But I don't know if you can see here. Let me adjust the pan on my camera. Just a hair. But it's actually got the straight crosses in the back, not the Maltese or German, or I don't know what you want to call it. But I've got to figure that out. Gary Ballard in the house, what's going on? Joe Ramos, you flatter me, but you're incorrect. These are actually Team Associated drivers right now that I'm using, because I'm using, of course, the gyro driver. But yes, there is no replacement for, yeah, the MIPs are awesome. I've also had great luck with, not into G, because I've broken into G and actually had it go through this finger, in this finger, out this finger, and into the next finger. So I've had mixed luck with into G, but the other one is Dynamite. Dynamite, I've had some pretty good luck with Dynamite drivers. The problem is that right now, not everybody sells them or sets as complete as I would like with this chuck. So here I am with my 1.5 millimeter driver. Alright, so I've got this whole cowl down to hanging from one bolt, so I guess we're ready to let it go. Oh, don't also be stripped. Yep, the one bolt holding the cowl on is also stripped. So we're going to put some fresh hardware on this. No question. But the other reason I'm doing this project was not going to be an immediate thing, but over the last month I've been so busy actually with events between the boys down at Amps, who put on a great show, and then we guys did Georgia, did the Dean Senior event, and just finished up yesterday with a fantastic event in Delray. Thanks in no small part to Joe Ramos. That is a heavy cowl, guys. Okay. Haha. Whew. Alright. So there's our cowl. Yep. There's a little bit of lead in there. In fact, I wonder... You know what? Let's break out the old scale and see what this cowl weighs. Well, the scale is upstairs, but I can already tell I've done one thing. I've gotten ahead of myself. Well, I guess it really doesn't matter. I want to take a couple measurements here, because now is your opportunity to take your measurements so that you know roughly, kind of, sort of, where you're going to land. So, let's see. It's looking like looking like 140 millimeters. I'm going to draw that on the whiteboard that you can't see behind you. So it looks like we have 140 millimeters from the engine box out to the propeller mounting surface. Now, granted, I could have measured that later because, oh, this is a 3W. So we've got a 3W twin on it now. Yep. So yeah, so granted that measurement won't change because we actually just measured the depth of the engine. I just like to have all that information handy, so when we go to do the engine swap, we've got all the information at hand. Alright, it looks like we're going to need some toolage. I'm going to need a socket to get back in there, and then a large Allen. So yeah, that's why I want to get the weight of this engine versus the weight of the DLE 111 that's going in. So I can tell exactly how much I'm changing the nose weight. But again, I know this airplane was last balanced on scales, and I'm not saying that that's not the right way to do it. I've never done it that way. It's totally foreign to me. So I'd rather just have all my weights and measurements taken care of, pre-recorded. At least that way I know, you know, as I'm making changes, what it is that I'm in for. Oh, please don't tell me I have a blind nut that's spinning. Especially since, how could that be? No, say it isn't so. Okay. Next issue. Next issue. Let's hear what the comments say. Gary, I believe you. If anybody would know that information, it would be you. With all your years in the business, I actually have shockingly little experience with 3W. Not by choice, not because I've not because I've chosen to not have experience with them. Just kind of hasn't been the way of things. So it looks like we have an inspection panel here on the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and pull it off. And yep, a whole bunch of screws. God, this is a beautifully made model. Unbelievable. I had been after this particular model for several years, and finally the owner came to me and said, "All right, I'm ready to be rid of it." So I did a thing, and I made it happen. Alright, we're going to hide that away because that's got the original owner's name on it. And I am not for making that information public. Oh God, all I can hear is leaf blowers. Gary, it's not, I'm not electing, so to speak, to go with a different engine. He told me that, well, two things. Paramount over all else, he wanted to keep this engine. So, kind of not an option. Secondarily, oh man, how do I get to... I fear that what's going on, guys, is that I fear the blind nut is spinning. And that would be a sizable issue for me. Oh, it's actually worse than that. There isn't a blind nut on. There's actually a full-on nut. Yep, there we are. There's a full-on nut back there. Booger. Booger. It's not the end of the world. Let's see what we have handy. What have we handy? Yeah, it's not the end of the world at all. Not by any stretch. But it is a further complication. So let's see what I can get away with here. If I feed the extension back into the model first. And then maybe I can come forward. Yes. Alright, I think I'm actually on the nut on the back side. Isn't this just always the inglorious part of the hobby that you never see? It's one thing to figure things out on your own, but it's another thing altogether to figure out what the last guy did. That's always an interesting one. Do we have a 7/16 maybe? It's tough. I don't speak American sockets. I use all metric for everything. So this whole fractional business, I had hoped that I was well and thoroughly past with school, but as it turns out, our country, for whatever reason, seems to like this SAE system. Arguably the dumbest system ever created, because somehow 11,064ths makes more sense than just saying 2mm. Oh no, that's 43,000 10,000ths with a 5/16. Don't like any of it. Nope. You can have your American sizes. Yes, it will be a proper triplane cluster F at Blue Max. Does anybody else have a blue one? That's what I'm curious about. Will I be the only blue one out there? It's funny, I would have liked to have even paid closer attention at Dean's event, but I had gotten myself a little busy with the small task of attempting to keep the event running. Not attempting, but the daily business of the event. So I didn't really get the opportunity. I saw that there was an awesome World War I DR1 gaggle, but unfortunately at that exact moment I was not in a position Huh. Well, what explains it, Gary? Have you an explanation for this bizarre system that this country uses? Alright, there we are. We're breaking loose. Go, gadget driver. I think there might be some high sol or something, or this is just a really good quality nylock on the backside. The gentleman who used to own this also builds full scale, so I'm not entirely surprised to see that it's really well assembled. Guys, look at the washers he's got on the back side of this. These almost look like prop washers for a small glow engine. He just does good stuff. That's all that can really be said about him. His level of workmanship is, well, he likes his quality stuff. How about that? Alright, Chad's got an answer for me to go look up. Now I must toddle off and educate myself this evening. Alright. Boy, a second flashlight sure would be helpful. Here, let's let's use a lighter to light the way. That's sheer brilliance. Use a lighter to light the way on an oil-soaked fabric and balsa model. Just brilliance. Alright, so I need to go get a, hold on, since this can't be remembered, 7/16 open-end wrench. I will be right back. See, I don't have one here in my toolkit. But I have this. And I have this. We might be able to bodge something together after all. I love that name, Chad, because you could say just about anything and I would buy it at this moment. I'm sure you're right. Come on. Comply with me. There we are. No shit, Chad. All right, awesome. Thank you for the information. That is very cool. All right. Let's see what we're up against here. First of all, let's pull the ball cup off the throttle. God, he does good work. We'll pull the whole throttle linkage off. Yes. Look at that. Look at that. Carbon fiber tube with the Sullivan quick release on the end. Or carbon fiber push rod, I should say. He just does high quality models. It's just all there is to it. I can't wait to get this thing upside down and start to send out a couple of pictures to actually find out what kit this is. Because I haven't the slightest clue. Nope, I'm going to need a 7/16 wrench. I tried to take the easy way out and it's not going to work. Nope. Unfortunately, there's no replacement for having the correct tool for the job. Alright, so we have a 7/16 wrench, a proper snap-on wrench. I suppose if you're going to do something, you ought to do it correctly. Oh, there's the angle. Alright, so there we are there. We should be able to go right through the exhaust here. Yes. Yes. All good things happening right now. And the nut fell out. We can only assume that that is an indicator of progress. And we have a very loose bolt here. Also, to me, a clear indication of progress. I'm going to go ahead and slide one of the top bolts back in, just so when this actually does come loose, it doesn't just free fall off the bench, because that would very definitely be something that I would do. Just take the last bolt off and then wonder why the engine free fell off the firewall. All right, there we go with that. So can you tell, Gary, by looking at it, is this like a 3W80? 3W75? I know nothing about it. I see the plugs have been converted to a CM6 style plug. So that's certainly, that has been done. There's hardware. Oh, it's just raining hardware. Oh, the whole engine box is coming off. Oh, that's great news. Guys, that is awesome news for me, because the engine box coming away means that it's not glued to the firewall, which subsequently means that if I have to change this depth, I can just build a new engine box of a different thickness and not have to worry about altering the original kit build in any way. Probably should have just grabbed snips for this, as it's not like, it's not like I'm not going to replumb this. If you ever purchase somebody's older used model and you don't replumb it, then you absolutely deserve all of the bad things that will happen, because that never ends well. There's almost always crying. So I've got a fresh set of ED A123s, and I'm sure this will already have A123s, but this guy uses I can't remember the name of the company, but or the brand that he preferred. But every plane that I've gotten from him in the past, and it's been several, has had A123. So needless to say, this will get fresh A123, as well as, got washers falling out. There we go. This will get fresh A123s, as well as a replumb of the tank. Mr. Billy, how are you? Alright, so we should be down to this point. I don't see a choke linkage. I'll disconnect the pickup. So this, in theory, and there we go. Here's the engine box, but there's a small Phillips screw holding the pickup into place. So let's see if we can get this hardware out of there. See if we can get the engine bolts out of here. I'm trying to free this block of wood. This looks like multiple laminates of ply. Alright, so there goes that. And of course we're going to change the hardware style to a style that I like, because it is mine now. Ha 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 ha. And I can do with it as I see fit. Alright, Gary. Are you around? Are you paying attention? I'm about to show you this engine. Little screws and bits. Alright, Gary. What is it? 3W75? 80? Let's see what it say. Each cylinder says 1C FK 167. FK 167 on the jugs. Yeah, there we have it. That's coming off, and the DLE 111 is going on. So I'll actually be curious. I wonder if I can hop this whole airplane over. So if we've got our, what did we say, 140 millimeters? Yep, 140 millimeters there. Or is that 11,070 tooths? Alright, and 160 millimeters there. So we've got 20 mil to stack, or to go. This block basically needs to be 20 mil thinner to achieve the same stack height and ultimately fit the cowl proper. So, cool. We've got that. Alan, I wish. Oh, Derek, I'm aware. No. A123 is absolutely a battery chemistry, a battery format, and certainly not a brand. I use Ed Nano A123s just because I've had good luck with ED, and they ship to me very, very quickly. And if I don't buy from them direct, a lot of the vendors who I deal with, and by a lot I mean Dean, stocks the stuff. So I've gone with ED. Well, initially it was just out of convenience, and then I've grown to really like the product. So I believe in it, therefore I carry it on and keep using it. Let's get these wrenches out of the way. They're nothing but in the way at the moment. So we'll take this hardware, put it with the hardware, and then we shall grab a small bag off the rack. What do we have here? Yes. I always feel bad buying bags on eBay. I feel as though they think I'm some sort of a drug dealer or something, as I buy hundreds counts of these little bags. But whether it's a customer or a friend, when you're giving them their stuff back, I always feel it's a little nicer presented to actually put it in a bag than to just hand them their stuff and say, there you go. Alright, there we go. That one's on its way back to its owner. And now we get to start reckoning out. Where's my brake clean and Windex? Now we get to start reckoning out how it is. Oh, I had to take the 3W ignition module off the nose also. That would probably be a sound decision. Let's see. No, it's going to be American. Of course it's going to be American. So let's see what size we come up with here. Alright. It is a 3/30 seconds. That makes a lot of sense. Can you tell that I'm a little bitter about English measuring standards? 3/30 seconds. Now I understand that a 32nd is, what is it, half a 64th? But doesn't make sense. If the exhaust port is straight, it is most likely an 80. That exhaust port points straight down, as far as I can tell. Actually, nice. It's got a set of smoke mufflers on it. Maybe I'll see if I can get him to sell that. The issue was he actually said that the model was a little on the anemic side with that engine in place. He said it just didn't quite have the oomph to pull the model around the way he wanted. So this was going to be, he actually had the DLE 111 and his plan was to put it in. He had just simply never gotten around to it. So that's where I come in. I am going to get around to it. Yes, DR1 Chad. Oh, Derek, I'm sorry. Alright. What have we here? Alright, it looks like just, oh, there we go. Grommet and some RTV to power the module. Going back to, and of course all of that goes straight in the garbage can because nothing like cheap insurance. I like cheap insurance. Yeah, let's pull it out this way and see what we get. Alright, get our hand in there. And where does this lead go? This lead goes back down here. Oh, surprise, surprise, it goes to the switch, which is located right there. Huh. I'm paying attention, I promise. Alright, let's just sever that there. Oh, look, more hardware's falling out. I have a feeling this thing is just going to rain hardware for 2 days. Cool. Well, there's the ignition module out. And this also will go into a bag, because that is the proper way to hand people their stuff back. Nicely wiped off, bagged. I'm glad this happened so quickly. I'm so far behind. Well, I shouldn't say I'm so far behind. I've got a couple of customers whose work fell behind due to me being hospitalized last week and the general schedule this month. So a few people suffered because of me. And I don't like that. I don't like being the reason why people have to wait. But alas, that's what happened. So I brought this in on the quick to do this so that I could get this gentleman his engine back. I got some final tuning to do on a pair of US 41s. I got one that's giving me guff, but we will get to the bottom of it. If I could find somebody who YouTubes or video edits, I would get them in and get them helping me so I could get more of this content up on YouTube, because that would be really nice. I love Facebooking with you guys. Believe me, this right here, I'm looking at my screen, you can't see because it's behind the plane. So much nicer to sit here and have a chat with you guys than to be completely all by myself. Okay, definitely a 3W80, says Chad. He said it was the sweetheart of an engine. He said it ran fantastically, or not past tense, present tense, it runs fantastically. He said it was just a little anemic for this particular model. The model just called for a little bit more lead in its ass. So now I got a couple decisions to make. Part of me says start filling up holes and sanding down and put a fresh coat of epoxy over it and start from scratch. Part of me says don't bother. Of course, we've got to get the cowl on and we've got to find center so that this dude sits in a happy place. Love that there's no cowl restrictions on there. What do you guys think? Do I sheet this maybe? You know what I could do? Well, I could do a couple things. I could take some 1/32 birch ply, simply sand this flat, do a laminate of birch ply, epoxy it so it's impervious to fuel, and at least that gives me a nice clean mounting surface. Or do I just go with what's here? The other problem, and Chad might know, and the group of guys that I have in the room is, I don't know what model this is. So I don't know whose cowl that is. To replace it, here, let me see if I can give you guys a dimension, approximately in Murica sizes. This looks like 13 3/4 of an inch ish, give or take. 13 3/4 inch circle. Because I'm not so certain that I can just call Balsa USA and get a new cowl. Now, granted, this is all aluminum. It is actually done nicely, and believe it or not, it's actually riveted all the way around, and that's not nonsense. That's actually riveted all the way around. But I don't like carrying lead in cowls. But there's no nose on this thing, so I guess outside of building a weight box, which is what I would normally do, I can see where he wasn't exactly flush for options. Yeah, flare is what kept coming up in a talk that I was having last night. So we'll find out. We will know by the end of this adventure what kit it is. I see a little screw here is off center. Oh, and I got another one lifting all together. Alright, so it needs some fiddling about with, but that's okay. I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. Now I can set this model aside, photograph it. I'll probably send you, Chad, and Tim some photos of the build to see if you guys can actually place it. And then this way I can get back to my customer engines. I've got a couple of those to deliver, and then as soon as those are done, this guy's getting my primary attention again. Let's see here. So what do you guys think? Do we leave the firewall as it is, or do we laminate it? One of my other thoughts was I could do a G10 firewall. That would be pretty cool. I've done that before. Do a lamination of G10, that way you're impervious to just about everything, and adding an entire ton of strength. Don't know. Just don't quite yet know how I want to proceed with this. God, whoever covered this thing just must not have had a life. The covering is just Superb doesn't even come close. Yeah, it's just I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we've got 8 servo side screws here. So you can definitely tell it's had 2 ignition modules on. Extraneous screw holes everywhere. It would just be nice to kind of plug that up. Not that there's a whole bunch of muck flying about, especially with the whole bottom of the canopy open. But like this end grain, we'll paint that to seal up that end grain. Plus, I haven't even had this model upside down yet to properly, you know, reckon out what all is going on with it. So, definitely interesting. All right, I'm going to have a cigarette. I'm going to come back. Hopefully, in the comments, there'll be a line or two about what to do with this firewall. But I'm pretty much probably going to cut the live feed here shortly, guys. Like I said, I just wanted to get this thing off so I could get the engine delivered to the customer. Or to my friend, the customer. Get the engine delivered to my friend. Because I do not like having commitments that I have not fulfilled. It is a crappy feeling for me. So I'd much sooner just get stuff back to its owner, get stuff turned around. I know there's lots of guys in this hobby, I don't even need to name a single name, who have built reputations for themselves off of being black holes for parts. You know, you send them your engine, you send them your airplane, you send them your whatever, and you don't hear back for months, and I do not want to be that guy. So, if I have to eat a little bit of crap, stay up late a couple nights, in the interest of keeping things moving forward, fortunately I've got a very patient batch of customers, some of which, well, I've got a very patient batch of friends who are also my customers, some of whom are in this room right now. Cool. I'm gonna go have a cigarette, and yeah, it'll be interesting to get this thing upside down. But I think I'm gonna have to wait till I get a couple customer engines done, get the hobby room bench cleared, and then I could probably. This is all flat. This is where obviously the top 2 wings mount, and there's 2 quarter 20 bolts in the back, and then 2 locating dowels in the front. But what's nice is I suspect that I'll be able to put a block here and a pillow out back and just flip this thing upside down on its lid and just work on it right here on the bench. It's a super easy thing to take apart and put together. All right, enough waffling. I'm going to go have a cigarette. I'll be right back, guys. back. I are back. Yeah, Joe, I don't know if you qualify as a noob. You seem pretty proficient, or you're really good at faking it. Which is as important a talent in life as actually being good. In fact, I would argue that some of the more successful people that I've ever known over the course of my life got by faking first and learning after. I did the exact wrong thing where I tried to educate myself first, but by the time I was educated, I was no longer relevant, and that sucks. But live and learn. Guys, we've got about 1 million little screws here, so I'll probably pull this apart just to make sure that we don't have any, soaking from fuel. I wonder if I can get away with running the fuel line down one of these struts and then out the bottom and actually put the little whizzer tube on the bottom so that it doesn't, when I overfill the tank, it doesn't whiz on the airplane. I'll probably see if I can pull that off. I suppose all I would need is some of that arrow-shaped aluminum. I could probably just butt it along the side, painted blue. Nobody would be the wiser. I'm sure I'm not the first person to have that idea, but that's it. Alright guys, well I think I'm going to cut the stream. Let's see, how long have we been on here? We've been on for, I don't know how long, well almost an hour. Alright, I've taken up enough of your time. Guys, thank you very much for keeping me busy, or keeping me company for this hour. I'm going to throw a couple bolts back in the cowl just so that everything stays together. And yeah, I'll be getting some YouTube videos out soon. Seriously, if any of you guys know anybody who's into video editing, looking for somebody young, this is going to sound horrible. It's not a dating thing. Preferably somebody female. They tend to be a lot more creative and in tune with social media trends and whatnot. But I'm definitely looking to employ the services of somebody to help with the video editing so that I could get more content over on YouTube and kind of pull this thing away from, not away from Facebook, but start to steer a little clear of the Facebook platform and move over to YouTube proper the way I'd like to. So either way, guys, thanks for keeping me busy for an hour, and hope you enjoyed watching my buffoonery. And with that, I shall end the video.